If you keep calling this maturity, there's a good chance it's actually protective distance. That calm voice in your head may be less about deep regulation and more about leaving your own experience before it gets too loud.
A lot of people assume emotional steadiness always means growth. You stayed composed in conflict. You didn't panic. You spoke clearly. So of course you got praised for being the reasonable one. And that reading makes sense.
The problem is that praise can hide cost. When your body goes quiet by going far away from itself, you can look grounded while losing access to preference, grief, anger, hunger, even relief. Then you judge yourself by the outside performance. Research on interoception helps here. Interoception is your ability to sense internal signals like heartbeat, tension, nausea, breath, and fullness. When that channel gets muted under stress, calm can feel clean and adult, while actually reflecting reduced inner contact. Polyvagal theory, associated with Stephen Porges, describes different autonomic states that shape how available you feel to life. A settled system has flexibility. A protective shutdown state can look still too, but the stillness carries numbness, distance, and low access. Peter Fonagy and Alan Shore have both written in different ways about how early regulation shapes self-experience. If strong feeling was overwhelming or unwelcome around you, your system may have learned to organize around dampening rather than expression. Useful then, confusing now. So the pattern often starts early. You notice that big feeling creates friction, unpredictability, or too much demand. Your system gets efficient. It lowers volume. You become the one who can function, explain, smooth things over, and carry on. Cognition can stay online while sensation drops out. You can explain exactly why something hurt and still feel strangely untouched by it. That split gets mistaken for insight, when really it may be intelligence operating a few steps ahead of your body. This is why some people sound wisest when they are least connected. The words are measured, the tone is even, the story hangs together. Meanwhile, the chest is tight, the stomach is absent, and desire has quietly left the room. And because the strategy works, it repeats. If emotional distance helped you finish the meeting, survive the family dinner, or get through heartbreak without collapsing, your nervous system stores that as adaptive. Your nervous system is making sense, even when your life doesn't. At work, this can look like being the calm person in every crisis. Everyone else is activated, and you become eerily capable. Hours later, when the deadline passes, you can't tell whether you're proud, angry, or completely depleted. In intimate relationships, you may be the one who never raises your voice. Partners call you steady. Then one day they say they cannot feel you. You were present for every conversation, but some part of you had been standing outside the room. With family, especially old roles, the switch can happen fast. One comment lands. You become polite, helpful, almost professional. You replay the conversation and realize you never noticed what you actually felt until much later. In friendships, it can show up as being wonderfully supportive while having no idea how to answer a simple question about yourself. What do you want? Should be easy. Instead, your mind offers analysis, jokes, or options that keep you slightly hidden. The reframe is gentle. You may not be especially evolved in those moments. You may be organized around safety. That changes the question from why am I so detached to what made full contact feel too expensive here. One practice this week is naming state before story. Try a short check-in. Activated, steady, foggy, flat, or far away. Then wait 10 seconds before interpreting anything. Simple language helps, because a protective system usually responds better to clarity than depth. Another practice is breath with orientation. Lengthen the exhale slightly, then look around the room and name 5 ordinary objects. Chair, door, mug, window, plant. The goal is not instant peace. The goal is reminding your body that present time is here. What years around this pattern have taught me is that the people carrying it are rarely careless with feeling. Usually the opposite. You learned to become careful so early that distance started to look like character, discipline, composure, even identity. You may have been the child who stayed reasonable because someone had to. Or the partner who kept the conversation orderly because disorder felt dangerous. Or the employee who could keep producing while your body quietly disappeared from the negotiation. A lot of high-functioning sensitive adults have this combination. Deep processing, described by Elaine Aron's work on sensitivity. Paired with strong adaptation, you notice everything. Then you learn to mute your own reaction so all that input stays manageable enough to survive. That can create a strange loneliness. Other people experience you as stable, maybe even hard to shake, while inside there's a vague grief. You miss yourself without having language for what exactly has gone missing or when it left. Sometimes the giveaway is timing. Real feeling arrives late. You handle the emergency beautifully, then cry in the grocery store 2 days later, because the nervous system finally decides there is enough safety to release what got postponed. Sometimes the clue is politeness. You become incredibly articulate exactly when a boundary has been crossed. The sentence sounds balanced, the tone is kind, but your body has gone cold, and the anger that could protect you never fully lands. Sometimes it shows up around sleep. The day felt strangely manageable. Then night comes, and your body starts sending overdue messages. Restlessness, chest pressure, looping thoughts. The mind says, "I'm fine," while the system makes a quieter argument. And sometimes it hides inside perfectionism. Staying composed becomes another performance metric. You respect yourself for never being messy, never needing too much, never making things harder for anyone else. The cost is that your aliveness gets edited before you can hear it. So the aim is not to become more dramatic. The aim is to become more available. A regulated state has room for nuance, preference, grief, irritation, pleasure, and surprise. Protective distance tends to flatten the whole landscape together. That distinction matters in relationships. Presence lets you stay with discomfort while remaining reachable. Shutdown can mimic patience, but it removes contact. The conversation continues. The connection thins. The other person senses absence without knowing why. And so do you. It matters in self-trust too. If your calm always arrives by muting signals, you may keep making clean, logical decisions that your body later resists. Regulate first, interpret second, decide third. Otherwise, analysis can become a polished form of self-abandonment. There is also shame here, and shame keeps the pattern sticky. You may compare your flatness to other people's expressiveness and decide you are cold, avoidant, or somehow less alive. Usually you adapted brilliantly. The adaptation just stayed longer than needed. When you start noticing this, go slowly. Ask, do I feel settled or do I feel far away? Then ask, what became harder to sense just now? Hunger, temperature, muscle tension, preference, sadness. Name the pattern, lower the shame. Over time, that question changes things. You stop rewarding every version of internal silence. You begin to notice which calm feels spacious and which calm feels absent. Take a breath, name the pattern, and I'll see you in the next one. Which one of these landed too close to home? Be specific.